So you decided to jump on the EV bandwagon, but you'd rather be caught in a ditch than spend a whole lot of cash for one. Well, guess what? The one we have right here just might be the thing for you. What's going on, guys? Roy Robles here from Zigwheels.Ph, and today we'll finally be reviewing the car everyone wants, but you can't seem to get. It's the BYD Seagull EV. So let's start off with the design of the BYD Seagull EV. First off, you got these sharp styling right here in the front. You got these sharp LED DRLs, LED headlamps, so you're definitely not going to be paying for a whole lot of money for a lot of technology. I'll be talking about the price later on. You got the huge BYD badge right here and a really short looking hood here. I love how the lower bumper really integrates itself well to the design of the headlamps here. Now, you won't have any cameras. There's no front parking sensors. It doesn't seem to have any advanced driver assist systems as well. You also have this singular front wiper right here, and of course, two washers on each side. Ugh, that's pretty nifty. I've never seen that kind of setup before, but there you have it. Now, I most particularly love this sort of lime green color scheme that they've got going on with the BYD Seagull EV. But if you ask me, I'd probably go for the other colors available. They got the black and the white. There's also a special edition pink colorway that was made available last year, but it was for a special edition. Now, right here, you'd see some sharp character lines running across from the front wheel well up to the rear wing. Kind of creates a sort of dynamic motion effect, even if it's still standing still. Now, you got these 16-inch alloy wheels on all four corners. I could have sworn that they're 15 inches because this tall boy effect that we got going on right here. You got four-wheel disc brakes all around, and you got this plastic bar right here at the bottom to break the entire, to break the monotony of the look right here on the side. One thing that the BYD Seagull does have, though, is this. On each side of the side mirrors, well, on this side at least, you got an NFC indicator, because with every purchase of the BYD Seagull, you do have a card. Instead of having to bring along your old school keys or key fob, you can actually bring a card, an NFC card, tap it right here. It's going to open up the vehicle for you. Now, the overall look of the side profile of the BYD Seagull EV looks more of that tall boy effect, and probably not my favorite look of the entire vehicle, but it blends well with the entire aesthetic, and it's pretty nice. Now, right here in the back where things get a lot more interesting, I mean, you got this entire light bar running across the entire rear end of the BYD Seagull EV. You got a huge spoiler up top, a shark's fin antenna right there, the BYD Seagull badge, and the EV indicating you're telling everyone that you're driving around not in a petrol hatchback, but an EV hatchback, which is quite a rarity nowadays, but a lot of people seem to be looking for this because of its affordability. You got rear parking sensors, which is nice, and a rear camera, which is even nicer. You do have this diffuser look going on at the bottom right here, indicating that it has some sporting aspirations, but trust me, you want this more for its efficiency than its sportiness, but it does have a little bit of sportiness hiding underneath that, as we'll be talking about in our drive later on. Now, this does not have any power tailgate systems, and the opening function or the opening latch of the door is a little bit offset to the right side, to my right side, and giving you access to all this space on the inside. You got a little more or less 300 liters worth of space here, which means you can put all of your stuff in the back, even with the rear seats up. With the rear seats up, you do have, you can put in all of your groceries here, probably around 2 weeks worth of some really hardcore groceries, which you'll be having more because you'll be saving on fuel, saving on electricity, because you'll be laughing all the way to the bank with the EV that is the Seagull. Now, if you need even more space, you can fold these second row seats down. They don't fold in a 60-40 split configuration, but at least the rear seats tumble forward in a flatter manner. So if you want to put in some bigger boxes in the back, probably cooler, you can do so right here. Overall, the look and aesthetic of the BYD Seagull actually caters more to someone like me, if you're a fan of the channel, you know exactly how much I love small hatchbacks. And this one hits right on the ballpark, especially for what I'm looking for in a car. Not just an EV, not just an ICE car, but a car in general. And I absolutely dig how this looks. All right, so we're inside the BYD Seagull, and right away, I'm amazed with the type of appropriations that they have had inside, giving me this certain sporty or premium feel much more than any other car in this price point. Not just EV, but any other car in this price point. I mean, you've got some soft touch materials right here on the dashboard, even the door cards, even right here on the outboard and inboard armrest. That's right, this has a center console. Not a lot of cars in this price point has a center console right here. Unfortunately, you don't have any cubby holes or compartments, but you do have this floating design for the console, which means you have more than enough space underneath there for all of your stuff. Plus, you've got a wireless charger right here in the middle, so you can go ahead and charge your phone while you're using it for wireless Apple CarPlay or wireless Android Auto right here on this huge 10.1-inch touchscreen infotainment system. It does have that signature BYD swiveling mechanism right here, giving it this nice party trick. But to be honest, even if it wasn't swiveling around like that, that's fine. Anyway, you won't be able to use it in vertical orientation just yet with Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so that's fine. So the one here about the screen is that it has a very nice sensitivity or touchscreen sensitivity, and of course display functionality. There's no lags at all. If you check out the vehicle's rear camera, that usually should be a 360-degree camera, but in here it's just a rear camera system. That's perfectly fine. It also has BYD Assistant, so if you want to activate the voice commands right here, if you want to activate different things on the inside, that's fine. Again, a lot of the features you have on cars that are more expensive than this one, you have it right here. Because as you can see, the only buttons right here underneath the screen is this kind of bar looking thing that allows you to toggle through different menu settings, like the volume, the automatic brake hold, air conditioning, fan, drive modes, and terrain modes. Is that the terrain mode? No, that's traction control. That's terrain mode. There you go. You have all that right there. Even the shifter is right here as a toggle where you can go park, reverse, go back to neutral, and then hit drive. Now for the gauge cluster, you have this dinkier tiny screen in front of you as well, but it's pretty comprehensive when it comes to all the information that you need. You can check out your fuel economy, tire pressure monitoring system, your driving time, your average energy consumption. You can find it right there, and it's easy to just reset all of that for you. Everything is very legible. You don't need a heads-up display. You don't need manual, or should I say analog gauges. It's just right there on that dinky little screen. And you would need that because you can actually see your range right here. More on that later on. This is just very smart. You even have a start-stop button right here. The steering wheel, pretty smart. You have everything that you need. Your volume and media buttons right here on the right, and your cruise control buttons on the left. That's right, this thing has cruise control, not adaptive cruise control, but cruise control nonetheless, again, which is very, very generous of BYD to put all those features in a cheap car. Unfortunately, the steering wheel is only adjustable for rake, which means up and down, but not for reach, which is quite a bummer, especially for someone like me who has T-Rex arms. But being a small hatchback, which is something I love about small hatchbacks, everything is easy to reach because of these adjustable seats as well. One thing to note though is that the BYD Seagull does not have height adjustment for the seats. So you can only go forward and back, and then lean forward and lean back as well. So very limited on what you can achieve as when it comes to driving position here on the BYD Seagull. So when I'm driving here, I'm seated way up so I can see everything around me. But speaking of seeing everything around me, you've got some good visibility all around. Now, another thing about the BYD Seagull is that you got multiple airbags on the inside. Now, this thing though, that has just 4 speakers. And the way that it's set up is where you got 2 speakers in the front, and you'd be expecting 2 in the back, right? But no, you got tweeters right here in the front as well. It's a small car, and the sound system is pretty good. I gotta say, I'm not an audiophile, but I know what I like, and it sounds pretty good, especially when you have it cranked a little bit all the way up. You got two cup holders right here, and as I've mentioned, no cubby holes right there. You got a black headliner, which is nice. Good visibility, good ergonomics, pretty much everything that I'm looking for in a small hatchback. Let's go ahead and take a look at the rear seats and see what we can find. All right, so right here, the second row seats of the BYD Seagull. This is not a bad place to be. I mean, the padding on the seats right here in the back is pretty much the same as what you have in the front. It's soft, it's cushioned, but it's not too soft. It's a little bit firm and supportive. So usually with cheap hatchbacks, you have just a total bench seat right here in the back and not a lot of comfort. This one, this is very comfortable. And I just realized that the shape of the front seat, the front bucket seat, looks like an aftermarket seat actually. Kind of look like a bride or brid seat in this shape. That's just interesting. Again, a little bit of sportiness added to the total accommodations. You got good headroom on the inside. You got a lot of space for your knees and your feet and your legs, given that you've got a totally flat floor right here in the back. Two map pockets. You don't have anything else. You don't have USB ports. You don't have a 12-volt socket or anything, but you do have a cubby hole there for some smaller items. Again, it's not really that huge here on the inside, but if I want to say cozy in the best possible way, this is where it is. It's cozy, but you can't fit three right here in the back. The two headrests give you an idea exactly how many people BYD wants you to sit right here in the back. But I was able to fit three people here on a short jaunt, just going around town. But it's not really most ideal and most optimal. 4 people, 4 seats here is the best way to go. All right, so we're now behind the wheel of the BYD Seagull EV, and I've never been more excited to drive a BYD vehicle. So you've got a small electric motor here, powered by a 30 kilowatt hour battery, and it makes around 75 horsepower and 135 newton meters of torque. Now, while that doesn't seem to be a lot, which it isn't, being in a small car like this one here, 75 horses certainly is a lot. In fact, the top speed of this thing isn't really that much as well, 130 kilometers per hour, but trust me, you won't be wanting to travel 130 kilometers per hour in a small hatchback like this one here. The power delivery is certainly a lot to be desired for, especially when out on the highway. But you got 3 drive modes here. You got Sport, Eco, and Normal. Most of the time we'll be in Eco, but this is probably one of the first times where we're in an electric vehicle that I'm putting it in Sport mode, because that's where things come alive, really. And you don't really need to save or do a lot of tricks to extend the range on this thing here, because it is frugal. This thing is really, really good with power management. So right off the bat, I'm going to go ahead and say the fuel efficiency or electricity efficiency of this car. So BYD rates this to be around 310 kilometers in a single charge. But according to my testing here in the city, I get around 8 kilometers per kilowatt or kilowatt hour. And in a 30 kilowatt hour battery, theoretically I can get up to around 24 or 240, I'm sorry, I'm doing the math in my head, 240 kilometers. So realistically speaking, you can get 240, 250 kilometers per liter, or even up to 280 and even 300 if you drive this very gingerly. But with normal city driving, with sport mode on and everything in consideration, air conditioning on, 230 is the most realistic number that we can get out of this. And that is a lot, especially for a car that's meant to be driving around in the city. That means if you travel around, let's say 20 kilometers in a day, that's more than 10 days of driving. So probably, realistically speaking, if you do like mall trips and all that on the weekend, maybe a little bit of out of town, you get to charge this once a week. Now, driving around in something like this is horrifyingly fast, but the brakes are really good too. The brakes are very responsive, and it's not at all that spongy. When you got 4-wheel disc brakes all around, very rare, especially in a small hatchback, which you'll need, especially in this car right here. Even if it doesn't have a lot of horsepower, it's really heavy because of the battery there. So having a good disc brakes is very important in this one, and you get to stop on a dime, and you get to turn on a dime as well because of how small the wheelbase is and how responsive the steering is, and that is just totally wonderful. That's one of the reasons why I love driving around in a small hatchback, because of the good turning radius. But being an EV, now that you don't have to, well, the front suspension doesn't have to worry about any of the engine components in the front, it makes the turning even more fun. So this car is it. This car is it. Now let's talk about suspension. You got a standard suspension setup. You got McPherson struts up front and a torsion bar in the back. No need for all-wheel independent suspension here because, again, small hatchback. No need for that. The NVH levels on the inside is pretty fine. It's okay, but for a hatchback, for a small hatchback, it's phenomenal. You don't hear any of the engine noise. All you hear on the outside is probably a little bit of road noise, especially when traveling in the highway, just a little bit. You hear some road noise, some noise coming out of these side mirrors right here, the wind noise. That's fine. It's perfectly acceptable. It's at this that's what I love about cheaper cars. It's at this price point, at this size, where you start to understand that you don't need all of those luxury stuff. It just so happens that you have some of those luxury stuff in here because of the leather seats, because of the fact that this is an electric, so it's fine in itself. And even going through road imperfections, through speed bumps like this one that we're about to experience right now, it's just fine. I can accept that. That's okay. Safety features, of course, you got a standard set right here, but as I mentioned earlier during our interior look, it's actually a little bit more than standard because you got multiple airbags on the inside. You get traction control, you got ABS with the electronic brake control system, everything that you need. You got a backup camera, backup sensor, nothing that you don't need. You got cruise control on the inside. This is just, if you're looking for a fully loaded hatchback, not even just an EV, this is certainly should be on top on your list. But of course, if you're still a little bit of apprehensive buying an EV, at least the price point isn't going to be too high. And the good thing about this, it's got DC fast charging as well, up to about 40 kilowatt hours, I believe. And that means you can actually charge your BYD Seagull from 20 to 80% in just under 30 minutes, about 20 minutes or so. And having a smaller battery means you won't have to spend too much when traveling around town or even out of town because of the smaller battery. So faster charging, cheaper charging, fun charging. And that, my friends, is the BYD Seagull EV with a starting price of 938,000 pesos. It still is one of the better values out there, especially if you're looking for a capable EV with a longer range, faster charge, pretty peppy on the road, and a lot of space on the inside. It also helps that it looks pretty darn cool. So what do you think about the BYD Seagull? Head over to the comment section down below. Tell us what you think. And while you're at it, subscribe to our channel and hit that notification icon so you won't miss any of our future videos. And if you're looking for a BYD Seagull, head over to Zigwheels.Ph to look for the best prices and tell them that we sent you. It's been Roy Robles from Zigwheels.Ph. I'll see you guys next time.